Good evening. I am Dr. Terrence Z. McCrimmon, the senior pastor of the Mount Pisgah Missionary Baptist Church of Rayford, North Carolina. I am so delighted that you have chosen to join our virtual cultural celebration / Black History program. I am so proud of the ministries here at Mount Pisgah as they have worked hard to present this program on this evening. So please enjoy it. I hope that you are enlightened and inspired. You are also welcome to join us for any of our worship services. We have our worship service on Sundays at 9 o'clock a.m. on in person and online, as well as our virtual Bible studies on Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Again, I hope that you enjoy this evening's program and continue to be blessed and hold your head up. For again, we have a wonderful and rich heritage. God bless you.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee. Shadow beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Mount Pisgah's 2021 Black History Ministries theme is Liberty and Justice for All, the history of social justice in America. The scripture we are examining is Isaiah 1:17. The Bible reads, "Learn to do what is good, seek justice, correct the oppressor, defend the rights of the fatherless, plead the widow's cause." Isaiah was the prophet that wrote this approximately 700 years before Christ. We are looking at the Bible's view of justice and the correlation to social justice. His choice of words is very important. Social justice is defined as fairness manifesting in society. Isaiah is referencing ethics grounded in God's word. The four themes in the scripture is evidence that the founding fathers built a nation without justice. An interesting fact is the founding fathers came from similar religious beliefs, and the largest number were raised in Christianity. The 5 principles of this verse are: 1, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. It is clear that our nation was not built on these principles. Systemic racism started from Europeans involved in slave trading. Slave traders kidnapped, raped, brutalized, terrorized, murdered, robbed, separated families, and enslaved Africans for profit. Slavery was inhumane and led to the underdevelopment of Africa. In 1619, when the first Africans were traded for food in Virginia, that was the creation of systemic injustice for Africans on American soil. The original legal system recognized Africans as property, not people. The greatest crime in America is the African Holocaust, which is evidence of a nation built on quite the opposite of Isaiah the prophet's principles of practicing justice towards one another. Africans and African Americans continue to seek and fight for justice. In closing, from 700 years before Christ to 2021, there is still a fight for fairness to manifest in our society.
So, Sonny boy, I understand you want to know something about Jim Crow. Well, I guess I'm the person to talk, because old as I am, I can tell you a little something about Jim Crow. I can't tell you a lot about what's in the textbooks, but I can tell you about what I lived through, what my family lived through. I know something about Jim Crow. Well, first of all, Jim Crow are laws that were created to separate the blacks from the whites. You know, what they call segregation. And it began, bear with me now, I'm kind of old, but to my recollection, it began about 2 years after the Civil War. You know, the war between the states. That war that freed, when Lincoln freed us black folks. That's when it began. And the reason it began is because all of a sudden, the white folks got real scared, because now these black folks, or coloreds, as they called us, or niggers, or even the N-word, they got real scared. Because now these same folks they had mistreated and treated cruelly, and now we're saying we got the same rights as they got. And so that made them real uneasy. And so they were meeting all across the South, and one planter said, we've got to create some police laws that will control these niggers, because if we don't, that means we white folks can't live among them. So that was the birth of Jim Crow, done solely to control black people and to make sure that they wouldn't have the same rights and privileges as the whites. So it began in the South, in the southern states, but guess what? It didn't take too long for it to spread all over the United States. And the reason why is because the black folks, these people were just slaves yesterday. They were progressing more quickly than they thought they would have. So that put another level of fear. So Jim Crow laws started popping up everywhere. In the school system, no public schools, separation in restaurants, bathrooms, movie theaters, anything public, neighborhoods, anything, anywhere. They just did not want to associate with the black folks. And the best way to do it was through those laws they created. So as it spread over time, it was a form of intimidation too. Now, if a black decided he was going to defy the rules, that meant a lot of trouble for him. Usually it would be, they would throw him in prison, beat him, even hang him. They didn't care. They were going to abide by those Jim Crow laws. And as for me, now I remember my first experience to really know that we were separated. I had a bad earache, and my mama carried me to the doctor, the white doctor. And when we walked in, it said white only. And then they carried us into another little room that was dark and dirty and nasty, and it was blacks only. But that was the way it was. Anything that was for blacks, it wasn't up to the same level. Same thing with schools. Those who could go to school, most of the time they used the old textbook the white folks didn't use any longer. You could even see the names written in the pages, in the, that page where you put your name in the book. There, it was just, they said it was education and free, but it wasn't equal. But then over time, what's that young man named? Martin Luther King. When he came along in the civil rights movement around 1954, well, that was before King, some things started changing. Education changed. It said that now you get an education, but still it took 10 years before that even really transpired the way it was supposed to be. And then history says that Jim Crow ended in around 1968. Well, in the school system, things were still segregated. People still couldn't vote. And probably one of the biggest holdbacks was in voting. But of course, in 1965, we had the Voting Act. And for years, they had their ways to keep us from voting. The poll tax, where you had to pay a tax, or find a tax to vote. Now, what they didn't realize, that also hurt poor whites, because they couldn't vote either because they didn't have the money. So you had the poll tax, the literacy tax, where you had to prove you could read, and other things that's hold us back. But now we're talking, this is 2021, and I'm getting a little tired. But what I want to tell you young folks is that Jim Crow is alive and well right here in the United States. In the past 2 years, if you didn't know, now I'm old, but I keep up with the news. I think it was 24 different laws were passed to suppress the vote across the United States. Yeah. They say Jim Crow dead, but Miss Mary is here to tell you that Jim Crow in the United States of America is alive and well. I bid you good day.
As an African American, I feel so many emotions. They both begin and end with hurt and defeat. My ancestors fought such a long fight paving the way. They never had an opportunity to see what impact they had on today. The blessings I receive are owed to them in every way. As I think of all the tragedies and lives that are still being lost, my heart cries out, for we have yet to arrive at the place of being free. Yes, we have a black VP, but look at how hard our fight had to be. Don't let this stop or end our black history, for the dreams, visions, and future lie in you and me. We are so much deeper than what's on the surface for them to see. The cleverness of our black community must rise up and above to take our place in this world. From the civil rights movement to Black Lives Matter, we must march onward with our faith in God. For we are a people that withstands a great deal of power. Just look at what we have overcome. Last year, so many people died, and yet so young. But here we are together again, and this is the only way that we can win. God has given us the mental capacity to ascend anything. If you think it, you can achieve it. If you believe it, then you have already perceived it. It is together that we are unstoppable and can attain the victory. Let this encourage you to dig deep in your soul and find your purpose in God. He will give you all that you need, including peace for eternity. Only when we work hand in hand can we achieve what we must be. The injustice shown to our ethnicity is what we must conquer with dignity.
My brothers and sisters, let me take an opportunity to tell you who I am and tell you what really happened to me. Some people want to cover the story up and say that it didn't happen, like they want to just sweep it under the rug. But let me tell you my side of the story, who I really am. My name is Emmett Till. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois. And in 1955, my mother and my father, they made a decision to let me go down to Mississippi to visit my family. I had a good time down there, enjoyed myself because Mississippi was beautiful. But one day, listen to me, one day, I was accused of whistling at a shop owner's wife. Can you imagine me in the 50s doing racial segregation, whistling at a shop owner's wife? It was unheard of, but I was accused of that. So the shop owner and his brother decided that they would get together and retaliate against what I'd done. So here's what they did to me. They beat me. Oh, did they beat me? Every time they hit me, I could feel it. I cried, wanted somebody to come and rescue me, but no one came to my rescue. But let me tell you what, that's not the end of the story. After they severely beat me, they decided they wanted to punish me more. They shot me. It was an agonizing pain when it hit me. I wanted to cry out, but it seemed like the more I tried to cry, there was nothing that came out. Can you imagine how I felt? A young man, 15 years of age, beat like that, and then shot. But guess what they did? They took my body to the river. They tied a chain around me and threw me in the river. Such a sad way for my life to end, for something that I didn't do. But it happened to me. My body was in the water. I could see myself, but I couldn't get out. It was tormenting. I was drowning. I was drowning. It took a toll on me, and I couldn't fight anymore. So I gave up. My body just laid there because I couldn't move. I couldn't struggle because I had a chain around me. But finally, somebody found my body. But here's the sad thing, that when the funeral happened, my mother, God knows I love my mother. She was an advocate for me. She left the casket open so that the world could see how brutally I was beaten and how I looked in my casket. It sent shockwaves across the nation for people to see what happened to such a young child as me. Now, let's fast forward to 2014. We left 1955, but guess what? Hidden racism still exists. How do I know? My name is Tamir Rice. And how do I know it still exists? Because I was in the playground with my sister, having a good time, and I just had a toy gun in my hand. But evidently, somebody felt a need to call the police. And when the police came, without them investigating to see what really happened, didn't give me an opportunity to explain myself, I was shot and killed. Can you imagine how I felt? That maybe one bullet hit me, and I felt the pain, and I moved. Then another one hit me. I don't know how many got me, but I felt the pain. And guess what? They never called for 911 right away. My body just laid there in the sand, bleeding from the gunshots. But guess what the police did? They arrested my sister, put her in the car for no reason. But the sad part about all of this, in both cases, the men that killed Emmett Till was never charged for the murder. The men that was responsible for the murder of Tamir Rice, they was acquitted of the crime. Such a sad thing happened in this day and time. But their lives were taken for no reason at all.
Hey, black child, do you know who you are, who you really are? Do you know you can be what you want to be? If you try to be what you can be. Hey, black child, do you know where you're going, where you're really going? Do you know you can learn what you want to learn? If you try to learn what you can learn. Hey, black child, do you know you are strong? I mean, really strong? Do you know you can do what you want to do if you try to do what you can do? Hey, black child, be who you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow your nation will be what you want it to be.
You asked me why I support the party. This is why I support the party. The year is 1954 and school desegregation has overturned by Brown versus Board of Education. The end of a long era of humiliation, brutality, and degradation seemed to be within reach for millions of African Americans in the United States. However, the end of Jim Crow has introduced a new form of degradation for the American Negro. Desegregation was merely a tool used to weaken the backbone of this community, making us reliant on those outside of our communities, their resources, their time, and their protection, or the lack thereof. The year is now 1966, and governments across the country still have our little black boys and black girls walking 10 miles to a school with no running water. The year is now 1966, and the government has failed to provide federal funding to the widows who lost their husbands at the hands of police brutality. The year is now 1966, and the government has failed to create equal housing opportunities for people of color. The year is now 1966, and the police are still murdering our people with no warrants, no explanations, no humanity. The year is now 1966, and the police have failed to protect the people against fascist vigilantes who rather lose an arm or a leg than sit next to a colored person on the bus. The year is 1966, and those civil rights robots will tell you to turn the other cheek, and why? So the pigs can slap us in that one too, I'm guessing. My people, our people, the real American people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. So what did we do about it? We started a coalition that not only provides resources and aid to those disenfranchised by a racist capitalist society designed for us to fail. We unified. We mobilized. We armed ourselves. We protect our children. We protect our mothers. We protect our communities. We don't let the powers that be convince us that the Black Panther Party is out for blood with a hidden agenda. Oh, no, 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 my brothers and sisters. We are fighting to make sure that your black blood and my black blood stays around for generations to come. They didn't want us to use their clinics, so we built our own. They didn't want us to use their water fountains, so we built our own. They didn't want to hire us, so we created our own jobs. They didn't want to feed our little children, and we didn't want to see them starve, so we fed them. Self-reliance, my brothers and sisters, is more than about proving to the fascists that you can. It's about survival and longevity of the Black community.
Son, the day you were born, I was terrified. Not of you, but of how others would view you. How they're going to look at your skin and they're going to judge you just off the way that you look. They're going to look at your melanin and not realize how awesome and pure it is. They're going to look at you and they're going to just automatically assume that you are just all things negative. But you're not, you know. I've always been afraid of how those people would treat you. But I want you to know that you are awesome and that you can do anything. Eventually, you will get a car and you will learn how to drive.
But Mama, I am a good driver. I'm sure of it.
Well, son, it's not about you being a good driver. It's really about you making it home. There are some things that you have to do in order to be safe, in order to make it home, just because you look the way you look. Everyone's not going to respect you and treat you as their equal. So there are things that you have to do differently than others.
Fine, Mama. Now, then what do I do?
Always speak in a calm tone, never irate. Always tell the officer what you're doing and when you're doing it. Never just reach around in the car without stating what you're doing. And never make a joke or think it's a fun and games when you're interacting with an officer. Okay?
Yes, Mama.
I need you to understand these things, son, so that you can make it home. That's important to me.
When you look at this young man's face, what do you see? I see a handsome, strong, energetic, lively, intelligent young man with his whole life ahead of him. He was the son of Sabrina Fulton and Tracy Martin, and he was born on February 15, 1995. This young man's life was cut short at the young age of 17. He was an unarmed Black American killed on February 26, 2012, which sparked a national controversy. The man that killed him is still walking around free, while his parents, Sabrina and Tracy, are still fighting for young Black men like him with Black Lives Matter. And the response of the acquittal of his murderer, these three Black radical young women, Alicia Garza, Patrice Collier, and Oprah Tominetti, created a Black-centered political movement building project called #Black Lives Matter. This is Trayvon Martin. And if you would like to join in the fight, go to the Trayvon Martin Foundation to increase awareness about the effects of violence on families while scrutinizing racial and gender crime profiling. Or you could watch his 6-part documentary called Rest in Peace, The Trayvon Martin Story. This is Trayvon Martin Black History Moment. #Black Lives Matter.
Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dreamer's dream. Let it be that great, strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe, but it never was America to me. I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me.
Because of my color. No enemy defeated, no games were won, but I'm just as tired, I'm just as done. Don't put me in the game, leave me on the bench. This world is getting dangerous, black people still getting lynched. Not by guys in white robes in a group. This is why I'm thrown for a loop. They say I was scared, I feared for my life as they kill another black brother, husband, sister, or wife. They had a weapon that all could see. Their color was their weapon, and that scared me. I know I am trained and I passed the test, but he was black, and you know the rest. I have to keep him oppressed by the color of his skin. If I use his color against him, I know I can win. For the color of his skin, he cannot change, even when he scrambles all the letters of his names. There are all kinds of ways to take away his dignity. Disrespect and disgrace them, show them a new reality. Let's show them as junkies, robbing on the streets. Put drugs in their towns, let's make their minds weak. Let's glorify all that cannot be used. Yes, let's show them as whores and pimps being abused. Like crabs in a barrel, keep them all in the net. Let them be drug pushers, promote that mindset. Keep them quiet, afraid to speak. Degrade them and make them weak. Their true power they must never know. Keep them oppressed, don't let them grow. Remind them they are the color of dirt. Always make it difficult for them to find work. Have them dependent on society. Structure it so that they can never truly be free. Have them fighting one against another, pit woman against woman, brother against brother. Make it easy for them to get guns and drugs. Let money be the only thing that they love. So this is how they keep us down, only letting us get so far off the ground, using our color as an excuse, not even willing to call a truce, killing us and helping us kill each other. No sympathy at all for the crying mothers. When will you see their plans? They stole our ancestors from their land. We can only trace our heritage back to a ship when our ancestors made that awful trip. Ever since that dreadful day, we have tried to find a way to live peacefully with all kinds. But now I think it is the time. This world is ours, built with our sweat and tears. We've made all kinds of sacrifice through the years. We will now look you in the eye. Black Lives Matter is our battle cry. Justice is what we will seek. We will no longer cower. We are not weak. We will fight. We will win. We will rely on Jesus and the color of our skin.
We are the victims of social injustice. We are
Breonna Taylor.
26 years old, born on June 5th, 1993. She became a victim on March 13th, 2020, when she was shot and killed during a police raid of her home.
Trayvon Martin.
17 years old, born on February 5th, 1995. He became a victim on February 26, 2012, when he was fatally shot in Sanford, Florida, by George Zimmerman.
Shaquan McNair.
16 years old, fatally shot by police in 2013. Shot 3 times in his yard in Fayetteville, North Carolina. He was a student at Westover High School.
George Floyd.
46 years old, born October 14th, 1973, and he became a victim on May 25th, 2020. He was handcuffed on the ground while the officer was kneeling on his neck. He kept saying, "I can't breathe."
Samir Wright.
12 years old, born June 15th, 2002. He became a victim on November 22nd, 2014, and was killed in Cleveland, Ohio, by gunshot from a police officer.
Eric Garner.
43 years old, born on September 15th, 1970. He became a victim on July 17th, 2014, and he was killed when a police officer put him in a prohibited chokehold while being arrested.
Rayshard Brooks.
27 years old, born January 31st, 1993, and he became a victim on June 12th, 2020. He was fatally shot by Atlanta Police Department by an officer while fleeing and was shot in the back. We are social justice.